Okay, fellas, the date is April 14th, 1773. Has the American Revolution started yet? Nope. 3 years to go for that one. So the colonies were still under British rule, and here is what happened on that day in a New Hampshire town, not 50 or so miles south of here. A British sheriff, his name Benjamin Whiting. He rode into town on April 13th, and he issued a warrant of arrest to one Ebenezer Mudgett. God, I would love to have my name were Ebenezer Mudgett. That would be so cool. Ebenezer Mudgett, anyway, for the crime of, get this, felling the king's pines. The law was simple, and Mudgett had broken it. Every tall white pine tree that had a diameter of 24 inches, measured 12 inches above the ground, was the property of the King of England, who lived a scant 3,279 miles across the Atlantic Ocean from rural New Hampshire. His royal agents had marked the best ones, the tallest and straightest growing ones, with 3 hatchet marks in the form of an arrow. And those trees were off limits to those who literally lived beneath them. You gotta figure, as I do, that there were plenty of pine trees to go around. Truth be, the king desired them as they made sturdy masts for his naval ships. At the moment, back then, no trees in Europe were a match for America's white pines. That one. And British masts had to be built out of 2 pieces of wood, married together at the middle. Not so good when smacked by cannon in battle. Some of our pines grew 200 feet tall. Well, you get what that means. The king was in no mood to share. But the colonists were busy building houses out of that same wood, and they were sprouting up like dandelions throughout all of New England. So guys like Mudgett made it their business to harvest the very best trees for themselves, and had a great profit. The sheriff had found 270 pines bearing the mark of the broad arrow at a mill near Mudgett's town. And on that date, April 14, 1773, the sheriff met with Mudgett and informed him of the hefty fine to be levied. Mudgett, get this, was quiet, and he softly agreed to pay. Then this happened, and I read from the book called White Pine, American History and the Tree That Made a Nation by a guy named Andrew Vitzi. Here's the story. Dawn's first rays were just beginning to glow on the walls of Sheriff Benjamin Whiting's room at the Aaron Quimby Inn in Weir, New Hampshire, when the men in war paint burst through the door. He dove for his guns. The large group easily prevented him from reaching them. They jerked him from his bed, stripped the bedclothes off his chest, and turned him over so that his naked back faced the ceiling. Men on each limb clutched Whiting tightly, holding him at waist height, while others brought out the switches. With a snap of a whip, but with the heft of a stick, the sharp saplings were ideal for what these guys had in mind. And as the sheriff struggled, rocking to try to pull himself free, the men laid into him, whipping him on the sides and back, keeping at it until he was a raw mess, flesh hanging down, blood dripping into the rug below. Then they used the sharpened tips of the sticks to dig hash marks into his back, each representing the fine that these men owed. And then they dumped him onto the floor. And as Whiting would say later, they almost killed me. Actually, this story came from the introduction of the book White Pine, which continues on for another nearly 200 pages of stories about the American colonists and their disagreements with their British governors over the rights of ownership of these Pinus strobus. Pinus strobus, Pinus strobus, Pinus strobus, 3 Pinus strobus over there, the eastern white pine. Many think this long drawn-out dispute is a better example of colonial rebellion than the Boston Tea Party, which came 8 months after the Whiting beating and may have been inspired by it. Lastly, you should know that whenever you come down the hill from your cabin to the council circle, Mother Tarleton, or the dining room, you pass a large stand, these guys up here, of trees, many of which are those same eastern white pines. Next time, and we promise you there will be a next time, try and imagine a 3 hatchet-marked arrow on some of those trees, known as the Kingswood. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed all those stories as we stare into the dying embers of the fire. As we always do at Kingswood, it's a great tradition when Mr. Wiff hands it over to Spanky.
Thank you, Mr. Wiff.
Hey Kingswood, miss you guys this summer. Can't wait to see you next year. Today I will be playing Free Fallin' by Tom Petty. She's a good girl, loves her mama, loves Jesus, and America too. She's a good girl, crazy about Elvis, loves horses, and her boyfriend too. It's a long Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Excellent.
All right, good night.
Another great night. We did it again, Spank.
Yeah.